Let's say China.
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 There are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello and welcome. I am James Andrews and you are listening to So This Happened. And today is the 50th episode of So This Happened. Give it up. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Now listen, if you're a new listener to the show, welcome. This is a safe place. If you're a long-time listener, welcome as well. And just in case you haven't heard what we've been doing, here's a recap of the last 50 episodes. James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened. The only news that is still insane. Anyway, it is Monday. And if you have ever wondered what it sounds like in my head 24 hours a day, that was it. That was the sound of James Andrews' brain. And speaking of sounds you have never heard before, today Jared Kushner spoke on television. He can speak. He speaks! And you just have to listen to it. It doesn't even really matter what he's talking about. It's inconsequential. It's just the fact that we have finally heard what the Kush sounds like. And it's not quite what I thought he would sound like, actually. I was hoping he would be like, "Hello, I'm Jared Kushner, and I'm married to Ivanka Trump, and Donald Trump is my father-in-law, and he's given me my job. I love him." But he doesn't talk like that. This is how he sounds. Fairly normal, actually. You know, if I was being, sort of old-fashioned, let's say maybe a little effeminate. But we'll see what you think.
We've assembled a very impressive group of leaders from the private sector and are putting them to work here today to work on some of the country's biggest challenges that will make a very meaningful difference to a lot of its citizens. This is Technology Week here at the White House, and we are proud to be kicking it off with your engagement and assistance as we work to modernize the government's technology infrastructure. We created the White House Office of American Innovation in an effort to bring business sensibility to a government.
And there he is. He speaks. It's incredible. So there we go. Now we know what the Kush sounds like. And anyway, moving on from that back to London, where unfortunately we have to announce another terrorist attack. Last night, a man, a 47-year-old Darren Osborne from Cardiff in Wales. And there's a joke in there somewhere, but I don't think it would be appropriate to make it. But if you're interested, just Google Welshman jokes, and there's a lot of them. Anyway, this man drove his van through a crowd of pedestrians, injuring 10 people, one of whom later died. Now, the interesting twist on this act of terrorism is that we've been conditioned by certain people in the realms of influence that terrorist attacks are Islamic, Muslim attacks. Well, this one was actually against Muslims. This man drove his van through a crowd of worshippers who had just left the mosque, this being the holy month of Ramadan, at about 12:20 in the morning, local time in Finsbury Park, which is a area of London. The man drove through. Apparently he was waving and smiling, and the people who had come out of the mosque actually detained this man while they were waiting for police. And luckily, and I think this shows real leadership, a local imam named by Muhammad Mahmoud, he is from the Muslim Welfare House, he intervened to calm down the angry witnesses who had pinned the driver to the ground. And what he told the papers was, I just told people that there is no point in people hurting him, that we should wait for the police to come and they could deal with it. And it's been condemned by British Prime Minister Theresa May, who said the attack was sickening and that it targeted the ordinary and the innocent going about their daily lives, this time British Muslims as they left a mosque after prayers. And to me, what this demonstrates is the danger of painting all Muslims as evil terrorists. Here we have people coming out of their house of worship and being run down by a British citizen who, though this has not been confirmed yet, I suspect we're looking at retribution, a revenge attack for, extreme Islamic terrorists mowing down people. This guy just went out and said, right, I'll do the same thing to Muslims because they're all the same. That's what I've been told, right? Yeah, they're all the same. This is the danger of that. It's the danger of saying all Muslims are bad, evil people. And that's why we need to slow down that rhetoric a little bit. And that's why I really don't like the term, Islamic terrorist. I think I just prefer terrorist. I don't think we need to put Islamic in there, because if this fella turns out to be, a Baptist or a Catholic, is he going to be a Catholic terrorist? Are we going to call him a Baptist terrorist? Now, you could argue that most Baptists are terrorists, but, controversy. 50th episode, controversy. And I wholeheartedly apologize to any Baptists who are listening to this. You'll just have to forgive me. Because let's be honest, that's the worst that you'll do. You're not going to blow me up, right? I mean, just forgive me, that's fine. Oh, and Princess Leia was a cokehead, by the way. She, the reports came out, the autopsy reports, and Carrie Fisher had cocaine in her system, and heroin, and ecstasy when she died. So, God, Princess Leia was a cokehead. Who knew? Han Solo may have known, right? Maybe. I don't think that's the Force they were really talking about, though, is it? Oh, and here's something I read which really, really bugs me, and I'm sure it'll bug you too, if you're a coffee drinker. And I, before I have a cup of coffee in the morning, am not a very nice person. You can ask Mrs. Andrews about that. Before my first cup of coffee, I'm an absolute, I'm a bastard. I really am. But anyway, according to a new report that climate change, which we all know is fake because the head of the EPA has told us so. So this might be fake news, but according to scientists, those chaps that, deal in facts, they've said that because of climate change, the land that is suitable for growing coffee is becoming less abundant, and therefore we have weaker and poorer tasting coffee to look forward to in the future. So that's great. And speaking of great, tomorrow is the big election between Democrat Jon Ossoff and Republican Karen Handel in Georgia's 6th district. Now, why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because the 6th district in Georgia, which is an area in Atlanta, which is where, funnily enough, So This Happened is recorded. So this is something that we've been hearing about all the time, and even on a national level, this is absolutely massive, because what you've got here is a seat that was Tom Price's old seat. Remember Tom Price? That twat? Yes, him. And before that, Newt Gingrich. Yes, that awesome dude. He held this seat as well. So this has been a Republican seat for decades and decades. And tomorrow, Jon Ossoff, this young 30-year-old Democrat, has a real chance of beating Karen Handel and becoming the first Democratic congressman from District 6. This is a big deal because it's going to start to show that maybe the tide is turning. If a district that is so Republican goes with a Democrat, that does not bode well for the 2018 congressional elections for the Republicans. So there's a lot of money been poured into this. Reportedly, the Democrats have spent $40 million on this one congressional election. The Republicans have done a little bit better than that, and they've only spent about $5 or $6 million on it. So, there's a lot. We've put a lot. I'm talking like we, the Democrats, but the Democrats have put a huge amount into this race, and it is it is arguably very important, and I really, really hope that Jon Ossoff wins. A, because it would be great, and B, I do not want to fucking read Donald Trump's gloating tweets tomorrow if Ossoff loses. It will be unbearable. He will come in saying, yep, look at me, I won that seat for Karen Handel, 'cause I'm the man. He's never been here, but I won that seat because I'm the man. So if you're listening to this and you're in Georgia in the 6th District, get your ass to the polls tomorrow, first thing, and get your vote in. This is a big one because this, mentally, if the Democrats lose this, it's a big loss. If the Republicans win it, whatever, they're expected to win it. So it'll be a kick in the nuts, but they'll downplay it. But if the Democrats lose this, that's going to say something, unfortunately. So come on, people, come on. So if you're in Georgia, in the 6th District, listening to this, get your ass to the polling station first thing in the morning and check that box. And let's see if we can, make this thing happen. And then we've been talking a lot over the last few days about guns because, there have been a lot of incidents with guns in the last few days, and the Republicans and Conservatives have come out very hardcore saying, no, it's not guns that kill people, it's bad people that kill people. The gun is it's like a car, it's like a spoon. A spoon could kill someone if you really wanted to. Why a spoon, cousin? Because it's dull, it'll hurt more. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, you get that? Awful film, don't bother. If you've not seen it, don't bother because of that. It was a line in there, don't worry about it. Forget about it, forget it. But in a new study today by the CDC, they found out that nearly 1,300 children are killed by guns each year. And that's children under the age of 17. They die from gunshot wounds every year. And nearly 5,800 are injured. So I suspect spoons could probably do the same thing, but maybe not. Maybe we should have a poll. Do we think that spoons could kill 1,300 children every year? I'm not sure. I mean, if you hit them hard enough, maybe, but it would have to be a big spoon, like a fucking huge spoon, made of lead, and if you hit them enough times, they'd either maybe die from lead poisoning if it was a lead spoon. But I'm not sure. Spoon, gun. Pretty equal, I would imagine. Yeah, why not? And then, of course, they'll come back saying, well, look, if a gun is in the right hands and the person's been trained, it's very, very undangerous. Yes, but children under 17 generally haven't been trained in guns. And so the argument that, if you've got a gun, you're going to get trained in it, well, you're not, because most people don't. Most people buy a gun and then walk around with it, and they have no idea how to use it. And then they just leave it lying around, apparently, so their kids can find it, and boom, too bad, I suppose. I got a little bit of kickback on Twitter from, all this stuff I've been saying about guns, and everyone's saying, you just hate guns and want to take them away. What about our Second Amendment rights? Listen, I have, if you want to have a gun, whatever, fine, that's fine. What I am very, very opinionated about is gun control, sensible gun control, okay? Here in Georgia, you can walk into a sports shop and you can buy a gun and walk out in 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes. You can go in, buy a gun, walk out in 10 minutes. The background check is laughable, absolutely laughable. Nobody needs a gun in 10 minutes. If you're going to do something, have a longer background check, do a week, do an extensive background check. And so long as there's nothing in that person's history, which is either mental illness or criminality, then fine, have a gun, here you go, enjoy it. So I'm not against everyone having a gun. I don't want to take everyone's guns away from them. I think the Second Amendment says you can have a gun, and well, there you go, you can have a gun. But there needs to be some regulation. I mean, that's just common sense, right? I mean, I don't want to say that everyone that doesn't think that is fucking stupid, because, well, you might be, I don't know, but it does seem to me to be common sense. Would you really want someone who is absolutely schizophrenic to have a gun? Would you want someone that just got out of prison to have a gun? Would you want somebody who is violent to have a gun? I just don't think you would. I think this whole idea of guns, anybody can have a gun at any time, it doesn't matter, everyone, here you go. It's not, it doesn't make for a great society, to be honest. So I'm not trying to take your guns away. So chill out on that. And I don't respond to these things on Twitter because it's all just It's just people are so stupid about it. Because gun control is important and it needs to be there to keep people safe so that 1,300 children don't get killed every single year by guns. And if this said 1,300 children are killed every year by spoons, I would be saying, you know what, we need to have spoon control. If you're mentally ill, you can't own a spoon because you could whack someone to death with it. But I've never actually seen that headline, and I don't think we ever will. And anyway, that is the end of not a very good 50th episode, but there it is. It's the 50th episode of So This Happened. And thank you so much for listening. And if you like what we're doing, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, wherever you're listening to this. And you can follow me on Twitter at So This Happened. And I will chat with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.